Smokey on our six. We got a contest, Mama June or Laura or Naomi. And before Smokey and the Bandit gets us, you're listening to Walking Dead. That's my call sign. We got Crazy Carol on my navigator side, and we got Psycho Dave driving the truck down the highway, cutting walkers off left and right.
Nobody's in the mood for this. You're listening to Squawking Dead. This is where we put theme music on.
There you go.
No. So, everybody, we are live. It is 1:40 a.m. on the East Coast. How y'all doing? Well, I should ask Carol. Carol, how are you doing?
I'm a little under the weather, but I'm here. And that's what counts.
I'm miserable.
So, yeah, I am here. There you go.
I am she, and I am here. Well, I'm so glad to have you, Carol. We're about to cover Fear the Walking Dead, Episode 11, Season 4, The Code. And you know what the code is, Carol, right?
Vaguely. I don't remember exactly all the particulars.
You gotta help people when they need helping.
There you go.
And just gotta keep that truck moving.
There you go. I think that was the idea. That was the general idea.
Is it keep on trucking, Carol? You're the Wendell in this one.
I know.
Screwed that up twice. I mean, Wendell. But then, I guess you did too, so. Oh, you're not feeling the best. Carol's a little under the weather, folks.
Slightly under the weather, yeah.
Slightly under the weather. And I, as the tyrant of the show, I'm forcing her to go through this with me.
It is okay.
I'm like the most codependent co-host.
It is okay.
I forgive you, David.
All right.
It's all right, because I think Squawking Dead is like the chicken soup that Carol needs to be able to move forward.
That is my hope. It is definitely my hope.
Well, we're really glad to have you, and we're going to talk about some stuff.
Yep.
I'm pulling my notes up now that we're recording. Okay, so the first thing I kind of want to talk about is it's nice to kind of have a Morgan episode, first of all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
And, I know the first episode was kind of a Morgan-centered episode. Morgan, mm-hmm. John Dory. Mm-hmm. But I think it's kind of nice to have a Morgan meets new people episode.
Yeah, I think it was an interesting dynamic, definitely. I don't know where they're going with it, but it's definitely like an interesting dynamic. I just don't know if all of this is supposed to be like the road to Alexandria with all these people, or they never make it, but I guess we'll eventually find out.
Yeah, I guess we will. I think maybe that's the first thing we probably want to address right now, because why not? We're here. Do you think, I know we've asked this question, but we're going to probably have to ask this question until it can no longer be addressed, so to speak, but do you think they will make it to Alexandria?
I don't know.
I think I know what you and most other people are going to say about this answer.
What? No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The showrunners, the people in charge, the people that know the master plan. Mm-hmm. It really does come down to like the secret Illuminati center of the Walking Dead universe. Scott M. Gimple, Greg Nicotero, and Bob Kirkman, like the Triforce of wisdom, power, and courage. And really, they know, they're the gatekeepers. They know what's going to happen.
Yeah. So they're the only ones,
right? And they have been so unforgiving until thus far when it comes to the show. Everybody you love. At least they're not like George R.R. Martin, right? Like everybody you love will die.
True. Yeah, that's true. But could be worse.
They're pulling in the rear, though,
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Now that I'm thinking about it, okay, and given Kari Payton's reaction to Andrew Lincoln's departure and how, in a way, we talked about this on episode 24, the big season 9 ramp-up of The Walking Dead. Mm-hmm. The way he reacted to Andrew Lincoln walking off and it being kind of like a not solemn thing per se, but a sort of opening of the Walking Dead universe. Like there's so much more show, he said. There's something like wild is going to happen. It makes it so that there is much more story and the universe gets bigger, mm-hmm. so that we're paying attention. So given that all of that, there's a part of me that's starting to think that wouldn't part of that growth and part of that universe getting bigger be in the end of it? And obviously this would be the end of season 9, beginning of season 5 of Fear the Walking Dead, would be maybe Morgan making it with mm-hmm. at least some of the newcomers. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
It could be. I mean, but with the time jump, you have to kind of figure out how that would factor in.
Oh, 100%.
That's the only
which is what we were having trouble with last time. It's kind of like there's kind of like a 2 time jumpy thingy.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
that's the tricky part.
Das the tricky part. Yeah. Poor Carol. We're gonna make it, Carol. I promise you. It's like a Bon Jovi song.
Yep, we'll get there.
Halfway there. We're not even close to halfway there. Unless this show is really short.
We will see how that goes.
Only I found that funny.
We will see how that goes.
And now we're gonna go to this is like the Cliff's Notes of a podcast, basically. I'm kind of coming off of just having hung out with a bunch of friends right now, so I'm kind of like, whoa, I gotta get my bearings. It's so much different than walking off, just getting off of work, having a moment and then getting on the show, like after having just watched and taking notes,
right?
Because you're still kind of on. Right now, I'm kind of like, my brain is turned off right now. I just came back from vacation.
Yeah,
let's see, on Tuesday.
Right.
Yeah, it's been rough. It's been a little rough.
I can imagine. It has to be.
Trying to pick that up. Pick it up. Got a bogey on my 6. So, first things first. Right out of the gate, it's storming. It's raining. Alicia's just left Morgan out in the cold. He's like, brr, just being rejected by Alicia. And the first thing you see is that walker that comes out right behind the truck. And Morgan's about ready to attack it. And then the wind kind of just picks up and slams his head again. Oh, wait. Something hits him in the head. Hits the walker in the head. And it slams against the truck.
Yes.
Now, I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, it was funny. It was very comedic timing.
Just like the show tries to figure out new ways to put walkers in situations, like walkers against the wind. And swamp walkers, radioactive walkers, sand walkers. I think they also try to figure out new ways to kill them too. Yeah. Yeah, this was kind of one of them.
Yeah, this definitely was.
In a humorous way at that. Like nature kind of taking over and going, nah, not so fast. And then just tossing something. But I think it also serves a dual purpose because along with this episode being a very humorous episode, obviously even with this walker kill, I think the undertone of this, I think it's hard to, completely express how dangerous this hurricane is. And I think it has like this dual purpose of making this a hilarious walker kill, but also really expressing how, that could have easily have been Morgan's melon.
Yeah, no, exactly. Right? Definitely.
So I was thinking that because I was kind of like, what's to say something just won't end him on the show right now? So yeah. So I thought that was notable. I mean, because just like the last episode, which was what, Close Your Eyes?
Yes.
Yeah. All the ways in which the show tried to get you to feel something for that family that died. Actually treat them like they used to be people. It's Mother Nature gets you to treat it seriously on the show. No, really, we're a very powerful storm that you don't screw with us. So anyway, I didn't want to spend too much time on that, but in the very next scene, obviously Morgan gets into the semi, and what do we get? We immediately get him rooting around one of those care boxes that are on the side of the road that we're finally getting some answers for in this episode. And lo and behold, for I think was it a third time this season where he gets a peanut butter protein bar?
Yeah.
They're making it very obvious that these callbacks a little too obvious, but I guess it makes sense, right? If you think about it, like each of these peanut butter protein bars kind of reminds him of back home. Yeah, I didn't think of that until just now, but yeah,
they're like reminders,
right? And it's like all these little reminders pulling him back to Alexandria. I guess. So, yeah, why not? Yeah. So one thing that I thought of when we were watching some of the sneak peeks, right, from even like the season trailer, right, or no, the mid-season trailer, one of the things that I noticed was in that trailer, like Morgan was no longer in Texas, like it was in Mississippi, right, or somewhere else, somewhere where the gang was not.
Yeah, looks like it was supposed to be Mississippi.
Right, and in this episode, they confirmed where he was. It just seems like he seemed like he wasn't where everybody else was, and then confirmed, and even more so, like for the trailer for this week, it was kind of like, they broke that he was in Mississippi, and I was kind of like thinking to myself, oh my god, it's like Morgan and the Wizard of Oz, and like Morgan is Dorothy, and his stick is Toto. So, we're not in Texas anymore. Stick part thing.
There you go.
So, yeah, I just thought that was pretty stupid. because I was kind of like, oh my God, he was literally in a storm, hiding from the storm. And all I could think about was the semi-truck in the air, like twirling around, like in the cyclone, and then landing somewhere in Oz.
I guess I'm surprised he didn't feel the driving at all.
Oh my God. And the two people he meets. Oh my God, he meets 3 people. Oh my God, we got to keep going with this because he meets 3 people, right?
Mm-hmm.
He meets the Tin Man, the Straw Man, the Tin Man, and the Lion, the Cowardly Lion.
There you have it.
Holy crap! I've got to ask some of the guys on the show, the production, if like that's what they were intending, like the Wizard of Oz.
I wonder. That'd be interesting if that was the intention.
Oh my God! All right, so we have to get into this because this is going to keep popping up. Maybe, hopefully, I'll keep tying in the Wizard of Oz with this episode somehow.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to go home, Toto, but the bridge is washed out, quote unquote.
I know.
I don't want to go home. I don't want to leave you. I said the bridge is out. Anyway, so so Morgan goes into the truck stop after he leaves the semi. You know, obviously he hitched a ride with somebody who took him somewhere. He was probably really cold. He was really tired and just wasn't conscious of it. And in Mississippi, in this truck stop, a long way from wherever they were in Texas, he goes into the truck stop, notices that there's power, right, immediately, and yeah, it's just bizarre. Everything's in order. It's not ransacked. It looks very well kept. There's supplies everywhere. It's kind of like the hardware store, if you remember from John's neighborhood, John Dory's neighborhood, and it's kind of funny if you think about it. There's this interesting parallel between the store where John Dory only took what he needed and left the rest, right? And this truck stop is doing sort of the same thing. I thought it was worth mentioning because, I don't know, maybe there's a tie-in with John Dory. I don't know, maybe there's a philosophy that's going on here. So I'm not really sure, but I thought it was an interesting tie-in. Yeah, and especially when I was watching the trailer, I was kind of like noticing, oh, take what you need, leave the rest. Or like when they found the first box, I'm like, oh, wait, that's interesting. Like John Dory only took the one hammer. He only took, he rented out the videos and signed them out before he signed them back in. Just in case.
That's right, yeah.
So, I don't know, maybe something up ahead will kind of link back to the Trucker Network thing. But yeah, apparently this is a truck stop for and this is where it starts getting interesting because given the fact that I'm assuming we've all watched the episode. So one of the things I kind of want to dive into right away, and maybe we'll find answers as we talk about it, is who was on the other end of that radio? The woman that Morgan spoke to on the CB.
Right, who we do see at the end.
Right. Well, I mean, was it her? That's the thing.
I assumed yes.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. Whoever was on the other end with Morgan at the beginning of the episode seems to know the routes, seems to know where he is exactly, and it could be, and maybe you're right, it could be that she just read the map that Purvis, which is the trucker whose truck that Morgan was in, but did not drive him, apparently, as we find out by the end. Purvis may have had one of those maps on him, and maybe the scary woman at the end of the episode, who I'm referring to as scary woman, took that off of him, read it, and also noticed, maybe this woman also noticed the care packages on the side of the road, the take what you need, leave what you don't thing,
right?
And she does seem to be writing it on Purvis's face, Walker Purvis,
right?
And that's another thing, by the way, something I really, really regret not bringing up, because I saw something in the mid-season trailer, and I am going to bother myself to actually bring it up, because let me see here, it's episode 24. Okay, I want you to notice something, because I don't think we saw it in this episode, and I kind of want to bring it up now, and maybe it's a good thing that I didn't bring it up in the episode. See, SDCC trailer, no one's gone. Oh, no one's gone. Okay, yeah. Okay. Okay, yeah. So Alicia is in the background in this one frame, and there's a dead guy, like a dead walker in the foreground, okay, lying down on the road. Okay, picture it now. The walker on the ground, has on, because it's zoomed in on his face, right? And Alicia's kind of like there, kind of looming over him. On the dead guy's face, it says, "People you know." So we know now that it's this woman that writes these things on people's faces, and we know that this woman at the end of this episode finally, writes down, "Take what you need, leave what you don't," on this guy's face, on Purvis's face. So this woman seems to have gotten another guy who says people you know. So I don't know. So there's something going on with this woman. And I know that we mentioned in episode 24, our little ramp up episode for the mid-season and The Walking Dead season 9, we mentioned that this woman was kind of narrating the trailer. It definitely was her. And she's basically saying, tapping into people's dark side, saying, I know who you are. I know what you're capable of, that sort of thing. So, I mean, it's not clear what this woman's intentions are, the crazy woman, because it seems as though, that she's kind of exposing them in a way, like I know what you're capable of, but is it to get them to do bad things? Is it to kind of prosecute them, or, to kind of, you know what I mean? To kind of show them their worst sides and make them feel bad about themselves, manipulate them, hurt them, make them do bad things, join an evil cause, be the Whispers. Who knows? So I guess we've just met her now, and we probably won't see her in the next episode, I don't think. Because it seems to me that, it seems to be that we're focusing on like 2 at a time. Alicia and Charlie. We have Morgan in this episode. In the next episode, we're going to have, I said Maggie. We have Althea and June, probably mostly. So we may not get back to her for a little while yet. So I guess it remains to be seen.
Yeah, I think so. I think we have to wait and see.
Yeah, unfortunately. So impatient, David. Yeah, so one of the first things that we notice is that Morgan is starting to really enjoy this truck stop before he gets on the CB. Just after he talks to the woman on the radio. He has a cup of coffee, and he's like really enjoying it. He goes to the bathroom, notices her running water, and he uses the toilet. I think it's the first time I can recall seeing somebody use the toilet on a broadcast television network.
Gosh, that's a good question. Yeah,
right?
No.
Like the ultimate sitcom sort of series thing is like we never see people go to the bathroom.
Right.
It just doesn't happen.
Right.
It's an alternate universe where nobody has a bumhole.
It's just sort of like assumed.
And yet you constantly see guys walk off into the woods or somewhere where it's probably not the best time to walk off in the woods and have a pee.
Yeah.
But nobody has a bumhole.
Yeah, it's something that you're right. I don't think that we've really seen it.
Well, we definitely haven't seen it on the Walking Dead universe. I can't recall any time where we've seen somebody go number 2.
Yeah.
Well, not actually, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. No.
Like referencing it even.
Yeah, no.
It's kind of interesting.
Never.
So let's talk about that scene for a second, because a lot of people are regarding that scene, like even like on Talking Dead, they spend a little time. They spend a little time with Daryl Chill, Mitchell, and Chris Harder brings out the bathroom scene where Morgan's kind of caught unawares by Wendell, and yeah, that was quite the opening scene for Wendell and Morgan. Like Wendell basically launching into his, tell me, why did you choose that bathroom over all other bathrooms?
Right.
But it was kind of like funny, like humorous in a way, but also kind of like, let's bring up an important topic right now.
Yeah, no, it was valid. It was a valid question.
And actually, I know you didn't listen to Talking Dead, but it's kind of worth it because he really goes into this whole thing where like, it's like the worst thing in the world. Like he really, Daryl Chill Mitchell always gets pissed because he, obviously he's always in the airport. You're supposed to kind of leave that disabled person's bathroom,
right,
open, and you don't really kind of think about it. First of all, just the cards on the table, and I don't know if this is how you feel, and maybe it's just because I'm 5'2" and you're 5'3", but I am not comfortable on the disabled bathroom's toilet.
Oh, because of the height.
Yeah, there's that extra like 6 inches off the ground, and it's like I don't want to feel like I'm 5 years old dangling my feet over the bowl, that kind of thing, No,
I hear you.
It's kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's definitely not the most comfortable. It's like that for a reason.
Yeah. So I just avoid it purely on that factor. So, but if I was a taller person, would that hold me back? And I'd be like, kind of like no, because when it comes to the airport bathroom, or okay, think about all the times like you leave a movie, right, and you're like dying to pee after that movie, right, and all the women are lined up over the bathroom. The guy's kind of line is kind of going through really quick, and the reason for that is because we're peeing in the not in the stall, but in the toilet in the stall,
right,
and all the urinals, and we're kind of going in rotation effortlessly going through the line because, you know, it's less of an ordeal.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, we're all kind of going through it. And I mean, like, obviously, if a disabled person was in line, I think there would be more hesitation when it comes to the bathroom stalls and stuff like the disabled person stalls and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if you're like in line and they're way behind there, I don't think anybody would really think about it.
No, probably not.
Right? I mean, especially as New Yorkers, you know?
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure people would just kind of like act rather than kind of think too deeply into it.
Right, because we're all ableist. I think we're a little ignorant about that stuff, and I think it's kind of. I mean, I think it's important to remember some of these things, like like that this is a problem for people living under these conditions, and that these bathrooms are built for them. So I guess I think it's kind of good. It's a good reminder, kind of just stay vigilant and use it as a last resort, not the first one. And if your eyes are open, you're heading in, and you see somebody behind you that needs it more than you do, just clear a path.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool. And it also did it in a funny way, and it didn't beat your head over it. And in the end, Wendell does kind of agree with him. Yeah, it is kind of like a tiny apartment, you know? So
yeah,
I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, I thought that was a good comparison, definitely.
Can you give me a minute?
Yeah, right.
Thank you.
Realistic.
Okay. Well, let me see here. Okay, so now here we go. I kind of want to bring up right now, we're establishing that Wendell is funny in a way, like in a very subtle way. And I kind of want to go through some of the humor, some of the lines.
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously, we covered the lowering the gun thing twice because it was in the trailer. Can you lower that, please? And he goes, sure thing. And he lowers it from his head to his gut.
Right.
So right when Wendell is escorting Morgan outside the stall to the seat, and obviously waiting for Sarah and all that stuff. So the first thing that Wendell asks Morgan is, who said you could have all this stuff? And he was like, I talked to somebody on the radio. And he goes, you talked to somebody on the radio? Yeah, I talked to somebody on the radio. So you're saying you talked to somebody on the radio? I talked to somebody on the radio. That whole thing, that whole back and forth was just so freaking hilarious. And it actually kind of makes sense a little bit, because by the time you get back to the end of the episode, it seems as though maybe that they were trying to do that as well and nobody was answering, and maybe the scary lady finally answered Morgan. But then who's this polar bear person? And that's why I was so confused, because is this scary lady? This is what's getting me. Is this scary lady taking out all the people in the truck route? Including this lady, maybe? The lady that was originally talking to Morgan, because polar bear, who's polar bear? Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, that's the only reason why I'm a little confused, because, if she was talking to somebody else, and I don't know, and there was a real trucker network, because basically Wendell and Sarah's whole shtick is that they are playing it off that they are truckers, and their whole thing is dropping off those care boxes every mile marker ending in 4, right?
Right.
Eventually we find out. They find that out from Purvis, right? The guy whose truck they stole the stuff from.
Yes.
Okay, so they leave Purvis with one of those boxes on the side of the road, basically the same spot, they picked up Morgan, more or less. And so it almost, it almost makes me wonder if Purvis was alone now and doing this on his own, or was there really a trucker network? They were operating off of some knowledge that he gave them or something like that. And then, is this woman real on the other end of the mic of the CB radio? Is she not? So I don't know. I'm sorry, it's just racking my brain, because here's the thing. I kind of want there to be a trucker network, because that would be kind of badass, like a group of truckers dropping off things on the side of the road. It's something that Andrew Chambliss says in Talking Dead, is that those boxes are based off of a real life thing, where during the Texas hurricane flood situation, people were doing that. They were leaving boxes on the side of the road, delivering them, all that stuff, with basic stuff like blankets, water, snack bars, things of that, and even like knives and stuff like that.
Yeah.
MREs. So I just thought that was now that I've got that information, I'm like thinking to myself, I kind of wish that there were people like that in this world. So you could have these guys, you could have the new Savior Hilltop Alexandria group, and then whatever's, and like basically nobody in Texas except for this one dude, this trucker network or whatever it is. So I don't know. I kind of want that to be real, like this whole subculture of heroes. I don't know. That's just me.
No, I hear hear you.
Can't be all doom and gloom, Carol. Can't.
No, I understand what you're saying. 100%.
Yeah. So, talk to somebody on the radio. Okay. The next thing was that Wendell and Sarah, they basically say that they're twins. Okay. Funny.
Right.
We're twins. Wendell flubbing the whole keep on trucking thing. He just can't do it. He does it. He screws it up twice. Just keep on moving ahead in your truck. And then he goes, then Sarah corrects him. Oh, and then he's like, okay, when Morgan is talking about leaving his people behind in Texas, and Wendell tries to empathize.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
His Bichon Frise.
Yes.
You're like, I know what the guy's going through. They're probably dead. Like my Bichon Frise.
Yeah, that was funny.
Oh, okay. Here's another one. And then, yeah, when Wendell flubs again with the whole, when Morgan asks him what the code is, which is basically the title of the episode, right? He goes, we tell people when they need that help, then keep your truck moving. Sorry. It's funnier in context, having done it twice already. When we finally meet Jim, which we'll obviously get to. You never tried Jimbo? It's an awesome variant to your name.
Yeah.
And negotiating with Jimbo when Wendell's kind of like saying, we got to talk about this. There's some complexities. And then Sarah just kind of steamrolls in, says, what are your terms? Is like, all you can drink. We're down. It's just like these little things that the show, like we've been begging for in both The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead. Just little bouts of humor that we kind of just need to just kind of, it's like make the medicine go down better. That like, it's like that candy coating on the ibuprofen. Like, I got a headache. These taste delicious. Do you ever, okay, I know I'm bouncing around here, but I had a kind of an acquaintance, kind of like not a friend, but that would suck the coating off of an ibuprofen and then just spit out the actual ibuprofen.
Oh, wow. That's intense.
Yeah. You just like pop them in like candy. It's very expensive candy. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
And then just spit out the little kind of cancer looking thing in the middle. Because by the time you get to the middle, it's like this brownish, grainy, rice looking thing. Like thick rice thing. So I don't know. Like, so this is not the first. Is this the first time you've ever heard anybody suck the candy coating off an ibuprofen? Am I blowing your mind?
Yeah, no, I had never heard of that.
I mean, you can do that in a pinch. It's just sugar.
I guess so. That's true.
Like, so think about it. If you're diabetic, go for it. You got no candy around, but you got your ibuprofen because Lord knows you need it for them headaches.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Okay, now we're going to get to some meat. Now, when Morgan is talking with Sarah and Wendell, basically trying to explain the situation, he's like, we'll kit you up so you can get ready to go and help your friends, right? He does mention that he wants to help his friends before he goes out, he heads out to Virginia and stuff like that, right?
Right.
What's interesting about, okay, here's something I didn't think about. He mentions Virginia the first time around, right? Okay. Why don't Wendell and Sarah, why aren't they interested in then? Why don't they take him for a ride or make him take them to Virginia then, to Alexandria?
I don't know. I'm not too sure on. I don't know.
And yet, when they see him with Jim in the back of the truck, why all of a sudden are they kind of aggressive? I mean, do you think it's because they found out about Jim and that maybe that they were lying?
I'm not sure. Maybe
okay, and then let's try this on for size. If they knew. Okay, wait, hold up. Okay. I'm trying to figure this one out because if they knew he was lying, because obviously he came back, got the car, went out, saw that the quote unquote bridge was out, and he was on his way to meet them on that mile marker 91 and all that stuff, and then he spots Jim, right? And they must have gotten held up, whatever that was. They rescue Jim, and all of a sudden Jim points out, oh, these are the assholes that, built me for my recipe and stuff like that.
Right.
So why is it okay for them to lie to Morgan, but it's not okay for Morgan to lie to them? Think about it. The whole reason why they suddenly turn on Morgan is because they claim, he's lying about going back to his friends, like bailing out on his friends. Technically, I guess, right?
Right.
Like, we knew you were lying about the bridge. So that's interesting. So I just like them as a couple, I just don't get 100%. I feel like we're going to get to know them a little bit better, like what their motivations are, why they act so weirdly. Because again, they could have built and grifted Morgan to get them to take him to Virginia in the first place, and even after he was on his way back, to meet them and stuff like that. So it's just strange. It's just really strange. Anyway, but let's talk about Morgan's cowardice, because now we're kind of confronting what he's on the road basically back to Texas, and then all of a sudden he hears all these voices, and basically I had the captions on, so I'm listening to the voices. It's all basically, Strand, Luciana, John Dory, Strand saying, have fun on your trip. Luciana saying, goodbye. And John Dory saying, well, farewell and stuff like that. That's what he hears in his head. He's trying to figure out a way to be okay with saying goodbye to them. And the last thing he had was Alicia basically saying, I want to be alone. I don't want to be anywhere near you.
Right.
And so he knows that they're broken. They're all kind of struggling with their own thing. But, after being pushed away, it's kind of like as though he's being pushed out the door. So he's trying to convince himself to not have to deal with them. So, what do you think is going on in Morgan's mind at that moment?
At which moment specifically?
Well, that moment on the bridge when he kind of decides to run back.
He might feel that they might be dead, or that it's just kind of an exercise in futility.
So, that he lost them in the hurricane already, and it's better to say goodbye now than. Oh my God! Then do you know what that is?
No.
I'm glad I worded it that way, because you know what it is. No, I'm saying the quote.
Oh yeah.
He didn't want to find out that Henry was dead. Do you remember that?
Right.
Same reason.
Yeah, that's true.
That's crazy. You helped me get to that, by the way. So I was kind of like, you're right. He didn't want to do it with Henry. It made him broken inside thinking about it. I lose people and I lose myself. I don't want to find out that they're dead.
Right.
Wendell didn't help with that either.
No.
So
yeah, no, sure.
So, and here's the confusing part, because when Morgan is on the way to meet up with Wendell and Sarah, that whole funny ass scene where Sarah runs over the walker that's in the middle of the road, and Wendell gives her half a point, and apparently this tally that they're making of killing walkers, even though we find out later on that they're not really interested in saving Morgan when he's in trouble. Or not really sure how, but which is weird. Again, this is all weird. I don't understand how they can have a walker count that high. Maybe they're doing it while driving, so it's not so bad. Like they don't have to get out of the car and all that stuff. So the truck. But then this weird thing about Wendell giving her half a point because it's he almost hit she almost ran over the bird. So he does have this weird valuing life thing.
Right.
So maybe some of that stuff is a front. Like he's not hard. You know what I mean? Like he's not.
Right.
So I don't know. These are things like I kind of want to pick up on because it just gives me more about the character than they're like willing to give us in the moment. And so that maybe it'll give us hints later on about who these people really are, why they have to feel like they have to act a certain way or be a certain way. So maybe there's a lot more humanity in them than we think.
Right.
And Mo Collins and Chill Mitchell really kind of indicate as much on Talking Dead, freely indicate as much that these people aren't really what you think they are, and there's a reason why they call themselves twins and stuff like that. They're really, not open about it, but they're really open to kind of letting you in on who these people may be, really. So, but I think that's important because, like, even though it's a funny ass scene with the half point thing, right, it tells you a little bit more about, this guy's he's almost like a pacifist. Like, I don't think he wants to shoot people. I don't think he wanted to shoot Morgan.
Right.
So it's just interesting. Okay. So, when they finally meet up back at the gas station, tell me you did not laugh, howling with laughter, when Sarah calls Morgan Momo.
What? I didn't understand that. Where did that from?
Momo? Where did that come? Meaning, like, where she plucked it out of the air. She just started calling him Momo.
Yeah, because I was like, where did it come from? I was so confused.
Well, meaning what? Like that? Like
why she was calling him that at all?
Why did she call Jim Jimbo?
Well, there was at least some sort of relation there. I was like, Momo. I was
like Morgan instead of Morgan Momo.
That's a stretch. I was like,
But still, it's just kind of funny, isn't it? Though it's just kind of like I was dying. She calls him Momo. Here's the thing, and I kind of asked this at the top of the show. It's like it's nice to have this Morgan episode, right? But you have literally probably the most serious character in the Walking Dead universe, like the most intense character in the Walking Dead universe in terms of like this range of acting really crazy, then pretend fun zen, and then, you know, really struggling by the end of season 8 of The Walking Dead. Really, really struggling. And then this like intense, you know, crazy person almost. You know, you don't want to F with Morgan, that sort of thing, right?
Right.
And then you stick him in an episode with these two clowns of people.
Mm-hmm.
And the effect is kind of like, you get to see like all the WTF faces that Morgan makes. You know, you were talking to somebody on the radio. That's what, and like he was kind of like, oh, come on already. It's like Gilligan and like the skipper. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just so great to see these two people having a thing. Like these two complete, it's like the Odd Couple, right? You have like, and that's why like when she said Momo, I lost it. I was just like, Momo? And so they bring it up on Talking Dead, right? And how I think she kind of plucked Mo Collins, plucked that out of midair. And the thing is that her friends would call her Momo. So she said, you know, I'm going to use this on the show. So that's where, I mean, if you're wondering where that came from, literally.
That's where it did.
Yeah, okay. So here's the thing, and this was mentioned on Talking Dead. I'm sure she improv that. I'm sure they like let it in, and the reason why they let it in was because Lenny James hates the name, absolutely hates the name Momo. So they basically used it to kind of, you know, screw with him, like in a way of kind of like enhancing the performance. Like, like Lenny James doesn't like this. Morgan sure as hell doesn't like this, but they're still gonna call him Momo for sure. I like want to hashtag that. Hashtag Momo.
Such a random name. Random.
Yeah, if this was any other setting than like the Deep South or the you know, Midwest or whatever it is there, you know, Mississippi. I guess Mississippi is the South, right? Yeah. We consider that the South.
Definitely.
If this was any other place but the Deep South, I would have thought, oh, it's like you know, Samoan kind of name. Hey, Momo, give me that Moco Loco. Yeah, I'm not gonna make an impression. There's limits, Dave. I mean, Carol. Who am I talking to? Anyway. So that's interesting because before he leaves to go off to help, when he comes back, talks to Sarah and says, because he runs away from the bridge, and she mentions on the radio, like, even Sarah knows, can detect, oh, I know how much those people out there in Texas meant to you. So she's on the ball. She's kind of like trying to follow the ball. She knows he lied about the bridge being out. Like, why is he doing this? Why is he lying? And why is he a coward, you know? So, and this is relevant in the episode because, you know, she mentions it when she catches him with Jim. He's like, you're trying to pretend to be something you're not. You know, you're trying to pretend like you're helping your friends. You're really not. You know, what are you doing? You're just trying to save yourself. You're just like us. You're just trying to save yourself. Okay, so Jim mentions a couple things. So when we meet Jim, right, he's on the side of the road being chased by walkers, bag over the head, that sort of thing. We know that Sarah Wendell did this. And then we figure out also that they want him for the beer. He smells like a brewery, and he's been hiding out in the apocalypse. He's like one of those Alexandrians, you know, the pre-Alexandrian Alexandrians, where behind the walls and stuff like that. He's had shelter. He's been sheltered from the world. So he's had like a different kind of perspective than everybody else that's been surviving, scraping, moving on, and especially in Texas. Okay, if you remember from the top of the show, Leland and the Pilfers, and basically setting the scene for Texas. Basically, I mean, you've got the vultures, you've got basically miles and miles and miles of nothing.
Right.
Barely any people. The show did a really good job expressing the fact that there really aren't many people out there in the Southwest, basically.
Right.
In a Lone Star State. Literally, it's the Lone Star State. There's barely anybody out there. There's barely anything out there either. And especially because of the vultures.
Right.
Basically hoard it. Oh, and here's another thing. And I just noticed it now because, like, if you really think about it, the huge difference between take what you want, leave the rest, and the vultures who took everything. Or no, it's take what you need, leave the rest, right?
Yeah.
And then John Dory takes what he needs, leaves the rest just in case. The vultures took everything. You know, and it's funny because if we had met the vultures later on after this box thing, this whole trucker network thing and John Dory and everything, I think it would have made a lot more sense, the juxtaposition. Or maybe this is intentional. Like maybe we needed to see people that just would strip everything bare and not leave anything behind for anybody else.
Right.
To really appreciate the boxes, all right, if you think about it, because why did I even bring this up? Because like when it comes to Jim, and we get to Jim finally, Jim is like sheltered from everything. He has like a different perspective. I mean, because he hasn't been surviving, he hasn't been scrounging, he hasn't been out in the middle of nowhere by himself like most people are in Texas. Just nothing, nowhere, nobody.
Right.
And so he has this like, the first thing he says to Morgan after saving him, he's like, what's the point of the beer? And he's like, you got a point to life, or are you looking for one? And he says this like another time also, I think, because he says another thing over and over again. He goes, beer, the staff of life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, there's a point to him saying this, by the way, by the end of the episode. And he makes a really, really, really good point. And so the first thing about you got a point, like, to what you're asking me, or are you looking for one? So right out of the gate, because of this guy's not having to survive and everything, and having, not having to really scrounge around, kill things, he's been able to maintain his humanity. He's driven, but at the same time, this might be really, really, really dangerous for anybody that's around him, because you've got a guy that basically almost made it big, and now he's carrying that baggage into the apocalypse. Like, he's stuck on the old world. The old world he really, really can't expect to have again. Do you follow, Carol?
Mm-hmm. I'm here.
Oh, did I lose you?
Nope, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so, like, do you follow what I mean? Like, he's kind of stuck in the old world, in the old apocalypse, pre-apocalypse mode. Mm-hmm. And so he's bringing some of that baggage with him. Now, some of that could be good, like he's thinking positive and optimistically. He hasn't been tested, like the Vulture said. Mm-hmm. And he's bringing a lot of this optimism, this kind of, like entrepreneurial optimism kind of thing into this world where he really can't expect much. And like, if you think about it, Alicia just said to Charlie, things are only gonna get worse.
Right.
And they're not gonna get better. They're just gonna get worse. You just gotta be, you have to have your head on a swivel kind of thing.
Right.
And just be prepared for it getting worse. And so, and then you meet a guy like Jim, and it's kind of like, oh, this guy, I don't know what he's expecting. But then it's kind of infectious also, because when he starts getting into the whole staff of life thing, that whole staff of life conversation, how beer, it gets the Egyptians to get together and have civilized conversations, the Germans, the Greeks, and the ancient Romans and stuff like that. And it makes you think a little bit, because it really, really starts to make you think how, in a world where everybody is just trying to get enough food to survive another day, to survive the hazards of this world, and now, I guess, the natural elements and stuff like that. If you really think about it, if they had beer in this world, okay, walk with me here. Walk with me, Carol. Think about, like, the saviors, and think about, the governor and all that stuff. If they had a little beer, maybe they could come down to something like a little bit, maybe they could get together around the table, have a few brewskis, maybe not think life is so bad, maybe come to an agreement, not be on their guard all the time. I don't know, there's something to what he said. And it really got me thinking of like how things could have gone a little differently between people.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there is something like the introduction of alcohol in the ages, how it kind of maybe got people together in ceremony and like peace treaties and stuff like that, and anointments, anointing with oil and then drinking wine and stuff like that, and joyous occasions, mirth.
Right.
So, I don't know. Maybe there is a place for something like that. Like, what if Jim comes, finally arrives to Alexandria right when chaos, like civil war, is going to brew and everybody starts fighting again. And then he says, stop. If you guys are really nice, I can show you where the beer is. And then everything gets better.
There you go.
Just seals the deal. This is our currency.
There you have it.
You want more? You be good, okay? Just be good. You get more beer. Perfect. Anyway, so, I don't know. It's just a thought that was kind of going on my head. Because I really do think if they just had a beer and chill out, everything would be a lot better.
I hear you.
So, okay, so, yeah, so finally Wendell and Sarah reveal their true colors after they meet up with Morgan, with Momo, and Jim finds out that, oh, these are the guys that screwed me over and left me for dead, like literally.
Right.
And, and Sarah and Wendell kind of, which is, okay, here's where it gets a little weird. Okay, they tie them up, they tie Momo and Jimbo to the back of their rig and basically tell them everything, almost like they're trying to justify what they did to Purvis, the guy who previously drove the truck. Like, oh, we left him on the side of the road with that box, that helpful box. And like almost as if like they're trying to explain themselves. They don't have to explain themselves to him. They could have just kept quiet, which tells you another thing, which tells you like, oh, maybe these guys really aren't terrible people. Like a terrible person wouldn't explain anything. A terrible person probably wouldn't even keep them alive, if you think about it. So, if there's just a lot of unsaid tells, like how these guys are really. If they were a lot smarter, Wendell would just remember keep on trucking. Something so simple as keep on trucking. So yeah, and then Sarah's catchphrase, which is interesting because it's kind of like if you can't keep what's yours, it ain't yours, which is completely different than take what you need, leave the rest.
Right.
If you ask me. So and the vultures. Oh yeah, and the Savior saying, you remember that? It was like we take what's ours or something like that.
I don't remember.
It was something like that. I kept bringing it up in season 8, because it was something they said and it just stuck with me, and I kept having to bring it up again. Okay, so here's the thing. I noticed one thing, and that's okay. I went into a whole thing about Jim and how he's bringing this like pre-apocalypse baggage about how he almost made it big with his beer company, right? Selling his beer to his beer company to a Augie's Ale, right? Right. And selling it to a multinational beer company, right? A multinational conglomerate. So Wendell's also carrying some pre-apocalypse life baggage too, and he mentions it when he says, he's like, I can justify my smash and grabs because the universe kind of handed me this disability. And it's kind of like I'm just getting mine, and then between those two, so it's kind of like and this is kind of like a theme. Obviously, we started out in the episode with Morgan having to kind of answer Wendell, about going to the disabled person's bathroom stall. So. And then we have this previous baggage of like him mentioning to Morgan, well, it's not as if like the universe dealt me a great hand. And then by the end of the episode, Morgan kind of tells him, look, I think the universe is trying to tell you something completely different, that like in spite of your disability, you're still here, and that the universe does seem to have, the fact that you're still here means that the universe ain't done with you. It means that you're worth, you've passed whatever test life has thrown your way, and it's up to you now. You have to decide what you have to do with that gift. So, but it's interesting. Like I don't know where we're gonna get that from Jim now, or I don't know how long. And that's the thing. Remember when we saw Jim in the preview, we're kind of like, he seems like a shady character. It doesn't seem like that now, but I also feel like, and I don't know if you use this reference also, but I do because I watch Star Trek. But he seems like a red shirt to me. Do you know what I mean by red shirt?
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. Potentially, he could be. He definitely could be.
It just seems like guys like that are not long for this world.
Right. No. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, but I just thought it was nice to kind of see that, okay, Wendell and Jim are both kind of in the same boat in the weird way. Just, I talked about that. Okay, so the part when Jim kind of comes on board to Wendell and Sarah's plan, right? And he's about to get in the truck, and then he stumbles when he's trying to pick up the chiller, and Morgan falls into the little underpass. Okay, when they see Momo, it's not going away. When they see Momo get back on the truck, like narrowly fleeing the walkers that are coming after him. Now, it's kind of a serious question. Do you think that they genuinely wanted to help him but couldn't?
No.
So you think that they didn't want to help him at all?
No, I think that they were kind of like, well, you can manage.
Ah, that's interesting. Because I really didn't know what to think. I haven't, I know that they were trying to debate who was going to try to save him. But, the question really is do you think that they would have, even though they knew how to? Or do you think they just don't know how to? Do you think that Wendell and Sarah are also sheltered?
Probably partially sheltered, but also kind of like they got directions from him. So they were probably like, okay. All right, well, we're going to check out and see if these directions match up. See ya. You can figure it out.
For a couple 1,000 miles.
Yeah.
If you get out, you can walk us. If you don't, well.
Right, yeah.
So you think it's just because they're just not good people, not the best people.
Not the best people.
The best people. Wendell and Sarah.
No.
They're my executive branch.
Not in the least.
And I don't drink beer, but Jimbo, you're there too. Okay. No, that's good because I was kind of like thinking to myself, I wasn't really sure like whether or not it was a matter of just the ability to, or if it was just them not just feeling like, just like not doing it. I don't want to waste, the energy.
Right.
Interesting. I'm still kind of out, but like I do feel you. And in the process of really telling him why they won't save save him, Sarah does mention the whole lying about the bridge thing. Like,
Right.
It's not as though you're the most dependable friend, given how you abandon your friends.
Right.
Yeah. And this gets Morgan really thinking, especially when he's out there alone trying to survive.
Mm-hmm.
Because Morgan now, just like everybody else on this show gets the opportunity to do, and it changes everything when they do it, is Morgan's having his saying the truth out loud moment,
Right.
saying it out loud, allowing it to change you.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Alicia did, in the last episode, Charlie did as well, finally.
Mm-hmm.
Nick finally did as well, before he died.
Mm-hmm.
And even Madison did with, who was then Naomi, admitting to herself, like, I screwed up and stuff like that, that she doesn't, she's not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everybody in the show, this is the season of saying the truth out loud. And this is basically the Althea season, essentially. Like, her philosophy kind of just is this big umbrella on the show, and you see themes like this come up, where each character really gets a chance to say their truth. Say your truth, Morgan.
Yeah, right.
And they do, and it changes their entire outlook. It changes basically their entire situation. Because once they do say it out loud, Morgan says this out loud to Wendell on the walkie. And then when he tries to, and then when he gives himself a chance to save himself, everything changes. And it turns out that the boxes really do help, because it really helped him out of that jam. So, yeah, I mean, it really does say something about how, like, the disparate attitudes between the Vultures and the trucker network. Apparently, we don't even know if this trucker network is real or if this is just one dude.
Right.
But still, at the same time, the fact that these things even existed. Now, here's the thing about these things, and this is why this is a little bit more confusing, because if you think about it, Andrew Trample says one thing about those boxes, and I'm glad I left this for the end, because in the same breath he kind of mentions, I wanted to introduce the rescue boxes, the little care boxes, right from episode 1, okay, and kind of leave it hanging, leave it open, right? Just like do you remember when Alicia freaks out in the back of Althea's van about the Korean, the kimchi noodles?
Yes.
Just the first episode, right? Or maybe the second episode, I think it was. He wanted to have those care boxes not to be revealed until episode 11, I guess, this one. And so the fact that he couldn't do that, means that he said we just couldn't do it for time. And it was kind of like, I mean, that would have been kind of cool to have, because then it's kind of like mentioning the Vultures again, because it's worth mentioning it, because you have this one attitude of take what you need, leave the rest. And then John Dory does bring it on later. Mm-hmm. And by the time John Dory brings up, we already know who the Vultures are. Mm-hmm. That, picking things clean. Naomi, we get introduced to Naomi. Then we have like a couple episodes, and you have the June and John episode, the Laura and John episode, and his attitude at the store. So I think that would have been really kind of cool to have, the take what you need thing. And it would allow them to kind of,
right,
to have these little contrasting messages within the season.
Right.
But I'm kind of sad that they didn't really have the opportunity to really do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's good to know, because it shows how much thought they kind of really gave to the series, how much real thoughtfulness that went into some of their narratives.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, how do you feel about Morgan's new stick, quote unquote? 442 stick.
What
mile marker?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's effective. That's for sure.
Darn tootin'. Oh, I did it too.
Very effective. Very effective.
Yeah. Do you don't miss his stick? Do you miss his stick?
So. I mean, like, I think, it's a cool new weapon of choice. So it'll be interesting to see if they stick around with that.
Right. Yeah. I think it will.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Momo, you're just evolving.
Well, we will see.
Now we go straight from the new the new Walker killing stick to the fact that the boxes save Morgan. He mentions it to Wendell. He's like, I don't know if you're listening to me. I don't know if you heard me, but it turns out those boxes were more helpful than you thought. Mm-hmm. And you get that montage of him running again. Like, if you notice that when it shows him running to like Wendell and Sarah or whatever, he's running to basically Texas, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the similar kind of montage that he had when he was running away from Alexandria.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just showed his feet, showed him kind of walking through all these different terrains, the mud, and all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I just thought that was interesting that we're kind of having this recurring montage of different. And we saw something similar to this when in season 8 of The Walking Dead. At the beginning of the season, we saw the montage of Rick, Carol, and Daryl. All this like that slow-mo pan shot sort of thing. And then we see it later on also when it came to Negan and Dwight and what was Stephen Ogg's character? Simon, right? And same kind of montage except 2 different teams. And here we have Morgan running towards friends rather than running away from people. So I just thought that was pretty interesting because immediately after that montage, he gets kind of rewarded with Wendell and Sarah. He's like, when did you find out that the directions were wrong? He was like, we kind of figured it out a couple hundred miles in. We checked the map, actually. It was like, there is no exit 77C.
Right.
And so here's where things get really, really weird. Because, again, I can't really figure out what these people are about. What Wendell and Sarah are all about. I can figure out Jim. He's kind of simple. But I just can't figure out Wendell and Sarah. Because he's mentioning how the boxes helped. He mentions, you know what, I can go it alone or you can take me there. Either way, it doesn't matter to me. But if we are going to go, and if you are going to take me, we're going to make some stops along the way because they have all the drop boxes, So what really gets weird is why do you? I'm trying to figure out. Maybe you can help me. Why does Wendell and Sarah go along with Momo's plan?
Probably because they really just want to know how to get to Alexandria, so they have to suck it up.
So you think they just merely have him? He has him over a barrel.
Yes.
And they really, literally have to go along with it. But I think he figured out something else too. That I don't think that they really want to kill him or kill. Period. Between not killing the crow, I think they really just want to see. They just don't want to have to work for what they get. I mean, it says it all. I mean, Sarah says it all. If you can't keep what you have, it wasn't yours to begin with, basically. So I think to me, it's kind of like finders, keepers, losers, weepers kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like children, essentially.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
If you want to, if you want to have ice cream after dinner, you gotta eat your broccoli. So basically, that's do these good things, and I'll give you what you want, no problem.
Right.
So that's kind of interesting. I'm trying to navigate this. I'm trying to figure out what they are. And the reason why I'm having a little bit more trouble is because, and it shouldn't be because they kind of spell it out. So Mo Collins, Chill Mitchell, when somebody on the show basically said, I think it was either Chris Hardwick or it was Drew Scott. And Drew Scott said something to the effect of, oh, they're kind of like grifters. Mo Collins interjects and she basically says, oh, I don't think we're grifters. I don't think we're trying to con people per se. Because I think part of the con is ripping people off and not caring about the consequences. I think she said, so you get the impression that maybe they're more than just that. Maybe there's a story behind why they do what they do, but they're not heartless. They leave things behind. They tie people up. They give people a chance to kind of survive. But again, this episode's kind of deliberately misleading. Like, you get hints of like humanity and like not wanting to hurt anybody, that sort of thing. But they don't give you the full picture, and their behavior is kind of perplexing, and But anyway, so one more thing about so the walkie, right? Okay, now Morgan walkies. I think he's walking the team, right? When he's in the big rig, he's kind of explaining what happens. I was scared, but I'm coming now. That sort of thing. Now, one thing I noticed in my second watch, and I was writing my notes, I was kind of like, don't you wish or think that this is what it should have been like because when Rick was kind of like radioing Morgan and Morgan wasn't responding, you get that sense of, oh, this is what he would have said. I'm coming to you now.
That's a good point.
So I got that feeling when I finally heard him on the walkie. I was kind of like, oh, this is what it would have been like had he responded to Rick. Oh, this is what it should have been like. Morgan should have come to Rick right away, but he couldn't or didn't. Didn't feel like he could be around people.
Right.
So I got that feeling. Like, and if you watch that scene again, you could really get that sense of like, this is what it should have been like for Morgan. Morgan should have kept in touch with Rick.
That's true.
Okay. And here's where we get to even weirder stuff. The whole scene with Purvis and the weird lady. So one question I have, because you really don't have 100% read on this lady. Do you think she killed the dude, Purvis?
Yes.
So you think she flat out killed him?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, what do you think she's about? Because do you have feelings? Do you have thoughts?
I think she's just like a sociopath that likes to feel that she's like queen of the damned or something. Like likes like
So she does definitely come off like that.
definitely does, and I get the impression that she's just, one of those like sociopaths that's like thriving in the post-apocalyptic universe.
Oh, that's interesting. Like a Mad King Lear or something like that.
Yeah, pretty much. All these people that do well in the apocalypse are sociopaths. Not all, but most.
Or become them.
Good. That's true. That is true.
We're all, so that should be the alternate title for the shows. It's like, the song Everybody's a Little Bit Racist from Avenue.
Yeah.
Was it Avenue P?
Avenue Q.
Avenue Q, right.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like everybody's a little bit sociopathic.
Yeah, I know.
Man, I'm dying now too. Can you get sick over the internet?
I don't think so, but I think that there's definitely something going around.
Yeah. Ugh. All right. Well, yeah. So I couldn't. So the only thing that really makes me think twice about this lady is something she says to Morgan in one of the trailers, or like the mid-season trailer, like, you better be careful out here and stuff like that, which, okay, could be her trying to trick him into a trap or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, you really don't have a good read on her.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, from all intents, see, that's the thing. I try not to get lured into the obvious on the show,
Right.
on any of these shows, because it's kind of like, oh, she looks really evil and crazy. Maybe she's not.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. That's just me right now. I'm opting to be on the fence with this one.
Yeah, I hear you.
God, not like I'll lose anything,
Oof.
but yeah. But I mean, I've got nightmares. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it's freaky.
Yeah, Freaky Friday. So I will say one thing. I did see the Talking Dead sneak peek of next week, and it seems as though not only have Althea and June flipped whatever they were driving. It could have been the van. And it seems like they were in this other car. They're trying to get back to the SWAT van, and they can't quite get there.
Mm-hmm.
There are walkers on one side of the car they're hiding behind, and then there's somebody else, like an actual person that's trying to block their path.
Interesting.
And yeah, at the end of that Talking Dead sneak peek, a hand goes behind June, a hand of a man, and somebody says something. I didn't record it because obviously I didn't have enough time before this episode. But it's not John Dory. It's not any of the people from the crew. It seems as though there's either a new person or somebody else that kind of walks behind her and taps her on the shoulder. Basically, it could be a hostile force or something, but it seems like they're in a lot of trouble. To the point where, like, you see in one frame in the sneak peek that somebody steals the van from them. And Althea's like in like major mode, trying to get it back. I will say one other thing about the next episode. If I have the ability. Althea's head is hot.
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
So it seems to be that maybe she's either sick or she's sick.
Oh, I hope not, like, sick.
And that would be a real shame because we never got back to the bog.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know about you, but I am not satisfied with her giving really good advice on this show. You know what I mean? And not having any like baggage to kind of impart on everybody. If you think about it just for a minute, like she's been so helpful to everybody, but there's something there. There's something behind her, some truth that she's not saying that everybody else has been saying. And it's kind of like, I feel like I've said this already, but I feel like this is just going to be in the background from the time we met her, that she's going to finally have to say her truth after telling everybody else to kind of say their truth. And it's going to be pivotal. Like, to the point where I'll say this much. The man that kind of puts his hand on June from behind her, I think it has something to do with Althea. I think it's going to, now that we're in episode 11 and at some point we're going to reach episode 16, I think we're due for a confrontation.
I think so.
Why am I having so much trouble? Jeepers. I sound like Alex Jones. Why am I having so much trouble? I turned the frogs gay. Like, what's going on? Did I trigger you? I don't know. I triggered myself. I don't know about you. I can't fathom what I sound like right now. Like, I just can't understand. Is this my voice? Is this how life is going to be like for me now? But yeah, I think we're done here, but you said you had some news for us.
Oh.
This is where Carol just lights up and comes to life.
Thanks.
It's her thing.
Well, we do have new castings. They did cast for Beta and Lydia. So those roles were cast officially. I think the guy who's going to play Beta comes from Sons of Anarchy.
That's right. Correct.
It is. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I heard. And then Lydia, she's a young actress, but I think that she's been on Castle Rock, I think I heard. And I think
she on Castle Rock? Oh, shoot.
But I mean, it might be a small role. I mean, I'm not sure how big of a role she necessarily had.
Did I see? Because I'm watching Castle Rock. I feel like I wanted to kind of.
I think she has a small role.
Oh, she does. Okay. Shoot. I kind of want to know what it is because I've been watching Castle Rock. I can't even talk. I've been watching Castle Rock and I don't know if I recognize her. And I kind of was toying around with the idea if we ever podcasted Castle Rock, it would be Castle Squawk. Because I keep thinking about all these other podcasts we could be doing, like Westworld, so it'd be like Squawking Westworld or like
that's true.
Yeah, or because I watch what is it called? The one on Sci-Fi. I just finished watching the second season of shoot. Oh, I hate it when it gets to be this hour and you're kind of like, oh, I can't remember anything.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, think of all the series that you can think of and like just put Squawk on it. Like I wanted to even call our incorporated Squawk Inc.
I know, right? That's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah, but then again, like an LLC, an INC, a corp, Squawk Corp.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm trying to find the actress, but I can't. Do you remember her name? What are the names of the people they're the cast members now?
The actors' names?
Yeah.
I don't remember off the top of my head. I'd have to look that up.
But yeah, I mean the guy that's going to be playing Beta, he looks like the real deal.
Yeah, he does. He's appropriately cast.
I 100% agree. Cassidy McClincy is Lydia. Just takes a little googling. Now I want to see if she's on Castle Rock because I have not encountered her yet. Let's see. IMDb says, oh, she is on Castle Rock. You are 100% correct. Oh, I know who she plays on Castle Rock. She plays the younger version of one of the present day actors. Yeah, it's a great show. You should watch that show. You'll see what I mean. I mean, if you like getting creeped out, but I'm not sure that you do.
No, I mean, I've heard a lot of good things about it. It's just, finding the time.
Finding between this show and life.
And life.
I get you. And that's kind of a good place to end on.
There we go.
Given our conditions. We're dying here. What is going on?
Given our conditions.
We have an internet virus.
I know.
We have malware on our... I'm suffering from malware. You're suffering from old school wear.
Old school viruses.
Oh my God. I can barely talk now.
Yeah.
You can hear me wheeze a little. Watch this. Wait, hold on.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Gotta be careful with that.
Yeah. I think it's because I have like the fan on instead of the AC.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it is right now.
That could be throwing it off, potentially. Yeah.
I feel like the end scene at the Muppet movie. Do you remember watching the Muppet movie when you were a kid?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do you remember the end scene where they're just about to meet Lou Lord and Gonzo has this really excellent idea? It seems like the receptionist lady's allergic to chicken feathers.
Mm-hmm.
So he puts Camilla and all the other birds in front of a fan and they start blowing chicken feathers and she starts sneezing. That's me right now. I'm dying.
Well, on that note...
It was Cloris Leachman, by the way. Sorry. She's a fucking genius.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, yes. On that note, Carol, feel better.
You too, Dave. We need to recuperate.
We definitely do. And looking forward to to watching the show on Sunday. From all of us to all of you, have a lovely extended Labor Day weekend.
Enjoy.
Don't die, Carol. Don't die. I miss you. I'll warn you. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, guys.